At this time, I'll call to order the Joliet City Council meeting for February 4th, 2014. The invocation will be given by Associate Pastor Seth Rempel of Crossroads Christian Church at 1451 Black Road, and then he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful evening. We thank you for the snow, but Lord, we also know it's treacherous for some people, and God, we pray that you would be with those to whom it affects. Lord, be over the city council members, God, as they discuss tonight. Lead the proceedings, give them wisdom, God. We thank you for watching over us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor. Stay safe.
Thanks, Roger.
We'll start with roll call. Mayor Girani.
Here.
Councilman Barber, absent. Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hugg.
Here.
Councilman McFarland.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Odenkirk.
Here.
Councilman Coleman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
First, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hugg.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Odenkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports. Baseball committee report.
Baseball committee consisting of myself, Councilwoman Coleman, and Councilman Morris. Also in attendance were Councilman Turk and Councilman McFarland. Met yesterday in the planning conference room. On the agenda was, they gave a report on the 2013 season, and everybody should have those that were in attendance received one, and I put one in the mailboxes of those that weren't in attendance. Just a couple notes that I made from the 2013 report. They averaged 2,000 spectators per game, which is a 10% increase from the previous year. 2014 will welcome the 2 millionth fan in May. They distributed 25,000 ticket vouchers to 75 area schools in 2013, and they want to increase that to 125 schools this year. They listed an intensive list of community events and service organizations that they are part of. They donated tickets to over 300 MLK volunteers. In 2013, they donated $113,350 in charitable donations. They have 12 full-time jobs, 19 internships, and 50 seasonal jobs. They estimate over $1 million were spent by fans in downtown Joliet due to the Slammers games. They offered free baseball clinics, baseball camps. Those are just some of the few of some of the things they've done. We will meet again in April to discuss the ticket prices and the concession prices and what they're going to serve. They are going to handle the food this year. Levy Brothers, as everyone knows, they were here for their liquor license last night. Levy Brothers is no longer there. They have finally a minor league agreement with Miracle League, a Miracle League agreement with finally, and it's that'll be brought to us in March. They're looking to build a deck, an 18,000 square foot deck out in left field for parties. But all in all, the ticket sales are good. The advertisement is doing well, so are the suites. We will get a final update on that at the meeting in April. Anything I missed, Jan?
No.
No? Okay.
Economic Development Committee report.
Economic Development Committee met this afternoon in the planning room. We discussed the proposals from Buxton, Retail Coach, and Retail Strategies. The two finalists were Buxton and Retail Strategies, but I received an email today that our go-to guy with Buxton resigned. All three of them, I think, do the same work, but Retail Strategies carries it a step farther, where once they get you the information, they will go out and solicit retail people. And plus, they would represent us at the ICSC convention in Las Vegas. The committee decided unanimously to have Retail Strategies appear at our strategic planning meeting and give a 15-minute presentation to the whole council to let the council decide. And also on the dais is a list from Jim Haller on some of the prospects and his report and people that he's met with. Some of them have a good chance of happening, and some of them did not happen. And that's pretty much my report. Anything else, Larry, Mike?
No.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Jim, on the report, it says worked with a grocery prospect for an east side location. I know there was an article in the Herald News about 6 months ago, following up. I think actually the mayor was quoted with the Deputy Liquor Commissioner at an event, and the Herald did a story on it. Can we say who that is that's looking? I've received several calls.
Yeah, at this point in time, they've asked for confidentiality. They're not at a point where they can announce that. The interesting thing was that they did say that they're looking for a location where they would demolish an existing vacant building and rebuild brand new.
Okay. And also, has there been any progress or any updates on the closed Dominick's on Caton Farm in Essington?
Well, we did reach out to the person that's in charge with Dominick's in marketing the property. She said that they, at this point in time, are working with no prospects. No one's stepped forward with interest in it. They did have interest in the past, but that sort of fell by the wayside, so they're interested in talking to anybody that's interested in it. So I'm going to work with 2 or 3 prospects that I think might be suitable for that location to see if we can't get them interested in going in there.
Thank you.
I did mention at the meeting that Caputo's was very interested in that Dominick's until Mariano's bought the one on Black and 59, and they felt that would be, as I said, too much Italian in one small area, so they are no longer interested in that area. So
Since when, Mayor?
that's what Robertino said. So.
And then just one more question, since we're talking about economic development. And this could just be a rumor, but I've had some inquiries from folks, and I know you have a good relationship with Centerpoint, but that the property that's leased to Caterpillar off Route 6, that there's potential that the whole operation will cease in 2017 when the lease is up. Is there any way we can look into that so we could kind of start planning ahead? Then wait until something happens. Maybe we can meet with CAT folks to see if there's something that we could do locally. Could be just a rumor. I know that there's been some drastic layoffs there, and they're bringing in some temporary help to kind of get the jobs done. But as we hear this, I think as a city, we need to be cognizant if that's going to happen, what we could do to start now to fill that space or try to keep Caterpillar here in Joliet.
Yeah.
If I may, I'm in the process of setting up a meeting with the CEO out there, the president out there, to sit down and talk to them about that exactly thing.
Good.
Okay?
We could report back to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else?
Public Safety Committee report.
Yes, the Public Safety Committee met this evening. Public Safety consists of myself, Councilman Oedeker, Councilman Morris, Chief Brian Benton was there as well. There was one item on the agenda, which was a discussion about a stop sign at Comstock, and there was nobody showed up to discuss the issue from the public. So what we decided to do is to table the issue and remand it to the traffic engineer, and the traffic engineer will, which is common in this type of for this type of request, the traffic engineer will do a traffic study in that location, and he will report back to us whenever the weather gets nice, probably sometime in late spring. We'll report back to the committee to determine if a stop sign is warranted. So that concludes my report.
Public Service Committee report.
Your Honor, the Public Service Committee comprised of Councilman McFarland and myself met yesterday afternoon in the executive conference room to review the contracts, change orders, pay estimates, and final payments. Found them to be in order, recommend their approval. We also reviewed had the potential proposed public hearing for 3 different special service areas that will be coming on the agenda. That was be tabled until the next meeting. One of the contracts that was discussed extensively in committee, and then again here at the pre-council, was a request for authorization to purchase public safety vehicles, Council Memo 6714. So I would recommend that that one be voted on separately instead of a group.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Sure.
Since we haven't had a Rialto report for a long, long time, an update, could we possibly get the minutes I would like to get the minutes so I know what's going on there.
I get them. I can get you a copy, or I can post them in the lounge, whatever you would like.
Mayor?
I'd rather have a copy.
Yeah, I get them also. I could probably give a little report, seeing I'm the liaison. I'm not sure what you need to know.
Well, when was the last time you were at a meeting?
Well, I talked with Randy Green last week. You know,
I mean
work
a
in the-
board meeting. When was the last time you were at a board meeting?
I've been at board meetings constantly. As a matter of fact, I was invited to a work seminar that I went to with Mr. Thanis about a couple months ago, right before he left, and I've been re-invited by Mr. Green. Do you want to know about the financials?
I want to know everything. I haven't had an update for a long, long time.
Well,
And since we give money to the Rialto,
Sure.
I think it's only fair that
sure.
we get a report.
Okay, hold on a second. I have the numbers here, Mayor. I'm sorry, I didn't have a report prepared, but I can give Councilwoman Coleman an idea where they're at. They finished last year slightly in the red, about $30,000. But they're pretty close to where they needed to be. The last 2 years, they've been slightly in the black, like maybe $10,000 or $15,000. Yeah. Currently, they have $266,000 in reserves. So again, the numbers are coming in pretty close to where they need to be. As you probably remember, we previously had funded the Rialto. We've been giving them $750,000 a year. And a couple of years ago, this council cut those numbers down to $500,000. So it's been a stretch for the committee, for the people at the Rialto to meet their budget, but they've been able to do it. And again, a little bit upside down this year, but pretty insignificant considering the size of their budget. And I have to say, I really compliment the board and the staff there. I think they've done a good job in these hard economic times with getting less money from the city, that they're still able to make those numbers work. And I know, Councilwoman Coleman, in the past, you've expressed some concerns about Randy Green, but I have to say, for my, what I've seen, being the liaison, I think he does an outstanding job. As you know, they recently got the grant from the state of Illinois for the terracotta, and they've been working on that. Those crews, again, I work in the building, so I see it every day. Those crews have been working pretty much throughout the bad weather. So all in all, I think the Rialto's doing real well. Obviously, I hope there wouldn't be a motion or move to reduce the amount of funding we give them, because I think they're doing a good job. They're making it work. And as I think people up here know, many of the people that you see when you go to the Rialto shows are volunteers. There's a lot of unpaid people, and they really, really are making it work and doing a good job. So again, I guess if you want more specifics, I can get you a copy of the minutes, but.
Well, I'd just like to say, I've been to many shows since October, and the place is usually pretty much packed, and the volunteers are doing a tremendous job.
I agree.
So, I have nothing against Rialto, I just like to know what's going on there.
Well, that's what's going on. They're doing really well.
Okay, one other thing, I can't share names, but I got an email from Randy. He wanted to know about some parking spots and the deck, because they had some people who were very interested in renting from them. And I made a phone call, and there are like 50 available maximum. So they are working with somebody that's going to take up a lot of room in the building, rental.
Good.
Right, again, on my floor, a tenant has moved out, but, no, I think it's a first-class operation. I give them a lot of credit, and I've enjoyed being the liaison, working with them.
Once they rent that out, that should help with some of their finances as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Since it seems like we bring this up maybe every other meeting, is there a way we could just have the minutes emailed to us?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I get them. I literally get them.
I get them every month, too.
Packet, yeah, in a packet. So
So that
I
way
can
everybody
ask.
has the same information, and that one person's privy to information than others, and.
Well, yeah,
It's
Sure.
public, I believe it's a public document.
You're absolutely correct, and I have been posting the minutes from the CED meetings and the minutes from the Rialto board meetings on the bulletin board in the council chambers, council lounge, that is. I
I'll
have been
follow up
posting
on
them.
that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Next, under consent agenda, is approval of minutes. It is recommended the minutes of the combined meeting held on January 21st, 2014 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 55-14, regular payroll for December 27th, 2013 through January 9th, 2014, $3,304,586.36. It is recommended said regular payroll be approved. Council Memo 56-14, position vacancies. It is recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one police patrol officer position, one part-time custodian floor man position, and one part-time custodian position. It has been motion, oh, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Been motioned and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under public hearings, Council Memo 57-14, public hearing for an ordinance establishing the 2014 Joliet Special Services Areas 1 through 3. It is recommended this public hearing be tabled to the February 18th, 2014 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and seconded to table to the February 18th meeting. Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances and resolutions, under ordinances, Council Memo 58-14. An ordinance approving the preliminary plat, an ordinance approving the final plat, and an ordinance approving the recording plat of Cherry Hill Joliet Business Park subdivision. It is recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
The motion and seconded to approve, Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 59-14, an ordinance approving the vacation of a 66 by 133-foot portion of Center Street right-of-way north of McDonough Street, 320 Railroad Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Kirk,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 60-14, declaring certain properties as public nuisances, 702 Water Street and 111 Mississippi. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Krista?
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 62-14, a resolution adopting and authorizing the execution of the 2014 Tri-County Auto Theft Unit Agreement. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Krista?
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 63-14, a resolution requesting authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Will County 911 Emergency Telephone System Board, ETSB, in order to receive a grant in the amount of $97,947.72. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Yes.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Is it getting to be redundant?
Yes, exactly.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 65-14, award the 2014 lawn mowing services contract, public utilities. Council Memo 66-14, approve a professional services agreement for sewer video asset management. It is recommended Council Memo 65 and 66-14 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Krista?
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 67-14, purchase public safety vehicles. It is recommended Council Memo 67-14 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
This is
This is,
going with the lowest bidder, correct? Yeah?
That's what the motion was.
Yes, that's what the motion is. Just want to clarify. This motion is going with the lowest bidder.
We have to finish discussion on that. If I can, am I allowed to withdraw my second?
Absolutely.
No, I'm withdrawing my second. I want discussion on this.
well, wait a minute, you can keep your motion.
Yeah, you can discuss
we
it
can
after your
discuss.
That's it. You can still discuss it.
Yeah.
And then after we discuss it, if you don't want to do it, you just vote.
Let's do that.
So
Okay.
making the motion in the
We got a
affirmative is
motion.
probably the
second.
right thing to do.
Okay, all right.
Sounds like we can do it.
Discussion.
I've thought about it since last night, and I think that we need to direct staff, and I think Jim Hock had a great, the city manager, idea. And we've mentioned it before in the past, and I think Jim is going to take the lead on this. We need to put together an ordinance that will allow for a percentage, because we don't want to chill competitive bidding. But on these 30-some dollars, I know it's a Shorewood business, but you know, it's the Joliet area. A lot of Joliet residents work there, and I'd like to see the money spent here. So I think I'd like to go ahead personally, so I think I ultimately will probably withdrawing my second. I'd like for all of us to consider awarding it for that $31, was it, or $38 difference? And Jim, can you work with Jeff on an ordinance so that in the future, there'll almost be a guideline? You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to scare away future bidders that aren't from the area.
Certainly.
So that we lose, $100,000 in a difference, but over $31, what happens in Joliet stays in Joliet.
You want to keep it local?
Yes.
Because there was so much discussion last night.
I know.
And it was left up in the air. And since there was a pause, I just made the motion, but I'll rescind my motion.
Here, I think what we should do, we should keep the motion in the affirmative. We can vote against it, and then we can have another motion.
Wait a minute, Jeff, can we amend?
Let's keep it simple. I heard a withdrawal of the second. I heard a withdrawal of the motion.
Okay.
I
Right.
think the agenda items on the floor, I believe it would be in order for the council to make a motion to make an award to whoever you want the contract to go to. I
And
mean, we're
with us-
talking about Tirapelli.
With that said, Mayor?
Yes.
I would make a motion that we award it to the second highest bidder on a $31 difference, which I believe is Ron Tirapelli Ford.
Second lowest, or second highest?
Second highest, I'm sorry.
Second lowest.
Second lowest, no, second lowest.
Right.
You're confusing me. I would make a motion we award it to that bidder.
I'll second the motion
Well,
Terrapelli.
for Terrapelli.
Talking about Terrapelli?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Question on the motion. The motion is to go with the second lowest bidder.
Ron Tirapelli Ford of Shorewood, Illinois.
Yes. You want to get the address?
Mr. Mayor, can I clarify?
Sure.
Can I amend the motion? See if we can get them to annex, as long as we're,
Yeah.
not the used car lot, though.
I just think the proceeding should reflect that the bid amount that I believe we have on file from Tirapelli is $382,856, and that would be the or $56.
Yeah.
382,856,
Right.
and I just want that to be part of the motion.
Okay.
And I would amend that to my motion. How's that?
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments? Krista?
Motion and seconded that Ron Tirapelli Ford be awarded the purchase of the safety vehicles for $382,856. Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Keep it local, aye.
Councilman Turk.
aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
I think that's the most confusion $31 has ever purchased. I'll vote aye.
Mayor Durrani.
I vote aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 68-14 requests the authorization to approve change order number 2 and payment number 14 for the Water Supply Maintenance Services Contract 2013. Council Memo 69-14 requests for authorization to approve change order number 1 and payment number 9 and final for the 2013 biosolids disposal contract. It is recommended Council Memo 68-14 and 69-14 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 70-14. Issuance of a Class K liquor license at 1 Mayor Art Schultz Drive, Joliet Slammers. It is recommended that Joliet Slammers be issued the Class K liquor license.
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Any questions? Kristen?
The motion and seconded to approve, Councilman Otterker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under Mayor Girani appointments.
I do not have any appointments tonight.
Okay. New business not for final action or recommendation.
If I might, Mayor.
Sure.
I had a conversation with, several conversations. First of all, I want to acknowledge that our streets department, again, with the lower resources, lower personnel, has done a fantastic job. We certainly have certain areas of the city, particularly cul-de-sacs, that are subcontracted out. There's been some issues that have come up that I've discussed with Mike Ulitz, which works under Jim Trisna. And I feel I would like, I think, the Public Works Department to work with the city manager and the finance department. We have another snowstorm coming now. I don't know how many more we're going to have by March. I think we need to add a little bit of money to their budget when it comes to the contracting, but we need them some leeway so that they can continue to do the job they're doing and have the leeway to subcontract more for cul-de-sacs and such if they need. There's been a couple of issues on that, and I think it's budgetary. So I'd really like to see us, I don't have an exact number, but I'm thinking we don't have, Rachel, we don't have the final numbers yet from, 2013. But we certainly we're looking at somewhat of a surplus, quote unquote. I'd love to put that in the savings account, but not at the expense of the inconvenience of the citizens. So I think, and I don't think they're going to ask for it, so that's why I'm asking for it, because they're just busting their butts and getting it done. I really think we need to add a little bit of extra money, contingency money, to the Public Works budget. $150,000, $200,000, and off to the side right now. If you guys could talk about that tomorrow, possibly, so that they have that leeway, because I don't think anybody wants to predict if we're going to have the same types of storms tonight and tomorrow, as well as 3-4 times more before the end of March. I don't know what the groundhog has done. I don't know if we have extra 6 weeks. But I think, Jim, if we could work that out, even if you don't use it, you had contingency, wouldn't that just give you some breathing room? And this is me doing this, because you have to understand. I'm on the outer limits, folks. I'm abutted to Plainfield. I'm abutted to Crest Hill, and on the contracting side, they seem to have a better budget for their Public Works Department, their director, in these awfully unique times with these snowstorms we've been having. And I think we need to add a little bit of extra salt to the mix here. No pun intended. A little extra pepper to the mix, so that there's some leeway, some breathing room to let our professionals, which would be Jim Trisna and Mike Ulitz and their staff, make that mix of public-private and get it done so that the folks aren't being inconvenienced. So can that be looked at?
Larry, maybe we'll refer that to the Finance Committee and have them come up with a recommendation.
Well, what I was thinking is if the city manager can work within the budget because he has the control, the Finance Committee meeting's 2 weeks away. We're going to have a storm tomorrow. We could have another storm next week. We need to address this. My constituents.
Jim, are we okay for the next 2 or 3 weeks without jeopardizing anything?
Yeah, we have enough salt for probably about 4 or 5 storms still. We've got more coming in. And actually, this Councilman Hogg, we've actually worked on our staff meeting. We've already discussed this issue that we're going to need a little bit more money this year and maybe some next fall again to get us through. And we talked about that just yesterday. Basically, our finance department does a real good job in general. They try to budget for the average winter. That's what we've been doing. And, this is an abnormal winter. So because it's an abnormal winter, we'll get additional money. Rachel's already working with us, and she's Rachel and the city manager, they're already going to work on getting additional money. We're not going to hold back and not plow or things of that nature because we don't, we're still within our budget right now, and even though it's only February 4th, I guess, today. So we're going to still keep doing
what I'm referring to then is I specifically, to get more detail, one of the requests I put in is I needed somebody to come and remove literally a 30-foot long 10 to 12-foot mound that the subcontractor dumped right on the children's bus stop at the curve, it's not really a corner, of Wake Island and Bayberry. And I think got the impression we're not going to call them out, it'd be too expensive. No, we need to call them out, and we need to find the money. We need to have them remove that snow, and if it's at their own expense then, because they've done something wrong, you can't cover a school bus stop the way they did. I'll show you the picture of it after the meeting. And again, kudos to your department. But the answer I essentially got, or the feeling I got was, well, we can't really do that. Well, yeah, other communities are doing that. This is abnormal. We can't do it because we don't have, we need to have a little bit extra for you, is my opinion, so you have a little bit of breathing room, so you can say, if I come to you, you can say, yeah, we'll get a contractor out, or one of our guys with a backhoe and a dump truck to remove that snow. We don't have that leeway right now, and we need it. The people are getting the natives are getting restless, and I'll speak to District 1. You know, I was floored when I drove by, and I'll be frank. By coincidence, the night it happened, Sunday, there was a little white pickup truck, and I almost stopped to say, "What the heck are you doing?" I knew it wasn't one of our guys because it wasn't a blue truck, right? You know, and a snow truck. And I said to myself, "No, don't stop, because that's probably not a subcontractor." That person is acting like a very upset kind of renegade resident who's got their own little snowplow. It wasn't. It was our contractor. I should have stopped. And he made a mess of that. And we had a couple of other complaints that I'll give to you. And what I'm getting is, we want to remove it. We want to make it right for the people. It's budget. If it's not budget, then we need to call somebody out and have Bayberry and Wake Island removed tomorrow morning before these kids go to school.
Yeah, just so you know, essentially, we remove snow from streets. We do not remove snow from sidewalks in the city in general. We do not do that. As a side note, we don't, unless there's some sign, and there really aren't, we don't know where a bus stop really is. So, you know, this amount of snow we've had this year, we're trying to get it off the street and you know, in the parkway. Sometimes it does cover sidewalks, unfortunately. But that's not a normal procedure. If we're being directed to do that, though, you know, if yourself and the mayor wants to do that, we will go out and do something of that nature. But just so you guys know, that's not our normal procedure. That we rely on the residents who live in the area to clean the snow up. And, you know, particularly in a neighbor like a Warwick or a Westmere, you know, we would look to those neighborhood organizations to try to go and clean up corners like that.
Oh, you got to see this mound. It's a mountain.
Okay. Okay, but you know, if
Let me
that's a
tell you this,
specific
Jim. Let me
one,
tell
we
you
can,
this.
we can
What
go
the
take
residents
care of
said when I met with several of them is when the blue trucks come out, Councilman, they don't put the snow there. They push it up another 50, no matter how much snow there is, another 50 or 60 feet. There's an area where they usually put it.
it. Okay,
This was the subcontractor.
Sure.
And these kids are at risk. They have to walk in the street now.
okay.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to work against you. I'm trying to
No, I
work with you.
understand. No, well, like I said, I just tell you, just so everyone knows, we don't normally do that. I mean, obviously, our guys wouldn't have done that, and obviously, and it probably was a contractor. We hired contractors last storm to help us clean cul-de-sacs. You know, they probably put it there, not knowing that was a bus stop. But in this situation, well, I'll talk to Mr. Ulitz and see.
And my
if that
question would be, when you said we normally don't do that, do we normally just take 3 tons of snow and put them on the sidewalk for 30 feet? We don't normally do that either.
No, we
do
try to put it in the parkway. So
Right.
and maybe there was a mistake where the person, the contractor, put the snow that time. We try to keep it in parkways.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, no problem.
Jim, are we good for a couple weeks till they can have a finance committee to see about getting more money?
Yeah, I'd say we are, right? Am I right? Yes, we are. Yeah. Our issue right now is if we have to buy additional salt. I'm sure everyone's told you that the salt prices are skyrocketing. And we're
Right.
hearing anywhere $220, $250 a ton, when we normally pay about $50 a ton. So,
Wait a minute.
you know, we've been very good at trying to use a little bit, less salt these last couple storms, and we'll continue to do that.
Jim?
I just want to clarify for yourself, the council, and the public, that the budget is just what we expect to spend in an average winter. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under. But at no time do we say, oh, we're going to quit plowing snow because we've reached our budget this year. The mayor has emergency authority to purchase additional salt if suddenly and we don't have to wait for a finance committee meeting or another couple weeks. And I rely on the department director and Mike Ulitz, who's in charge of the snow plowing, to keep me apprised of our supply of salt and how we're doing and what we're utilizing and when we need to make that order. And as much as possible, we'll try and time it so that it can go through the proper channels. But there again, we don't know how much it's going to snow here in the next 2 weeks, for example, and the weather comes in. And so we can make those emergency expenditures. I rely on those people to make the decision when to supplement our core workforce and bring in the outside contractors. And that decision is made based on certain criteria, which changes every time we have one of these snows. It may be at the beginning of the snowfall, it may be in the middle of it, or it may not happen at all.
John, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on what the city manager had said and let staff know, and you know, Jim, I mean, we should, and it sounds like we're not, but we should never, stop providing city services because of budgetary constraints.
Right.
If it snows, we plow the streets. I mean,
Right.
I don't care what the budget says. So that will continue, and our public should know that will continue, irregardless of what the, budgetary constraints are, because the city council's worked and staff has worked very hard over the last 2 or 3 years to build up reserves, which we have. But I would suspect, since it's only February, I would think we still have plenty of dollars in the budget, even though we've had such a horrible winter, since it is so early in the budget process, or in the budget itself, that we have plenty of reserves right now. Rachel, if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I do, actually. I just want to clarify. So, yes, like City Manager Hawk said, we do budget for the average. You budget for the norm, and then there are exceptional winters. This is one of them. That's the reason why we have set aside operating reserves, because then we can pass an amendment. If we get further into the year and we find that our budget is insufficient as a whole, we would come back to council and ask for an increase to our spending authority. We, in no way, shape, or form, will keep the roadways department from plowing streets or ordering salt. Actually, that purchase is made because you guys have authorized the salt purchase as part of that contract at the beginning of the year. We purchase it when we need it. It's part of the everyday operating procedure, and we will not stop city services because of the lack of budget in that one line item. If we did get to the point in November where we were out of budget as a whole, we would come back and ask for an amendment. So I hear the concern, but as this is what we talked about yesterday in our staff meeting, is that there is a procedure for this. That's why we have reserves set aside for the exception, for when there are instances where we have to accommodate something that's out of ordinary.
Mayor, just kind of one more. And basically, just for the council and for staff, obviously, staff has the flexibility to transfer dollars within line items without coming to the council. However, if they get to a point, as Rachel said, maybe October or November, where we're going to exceed that appropriation that we approved in 2014, that's when staff would come back to us with an amendment to that appropriation. But it's only February, so we should still have plenty of dollars left in another line item to reclass into salt or snow plowing, whatever it might be, to continue city services. Believe me, in no way will city services sacrifice as a result of budgetary constraints.
Absolutely. And we are still within our salt budget for the year, because part of it is purchased at the beginning of the year and part of it is purchased at the end of the year. So there is a chance that if we continue to see the events that we've seen this currently, and then we have some more events at the end of the year, that we will have to come back for an amendment to our budget. The other area that obviously is of concern is the overtime budget. But we will monitor that as we go along, because if we see savings on the salary side, they will offset our increased overtime costs. But again, if we do get to the point where our overall spending is at jeopardy, we would come back and ask for an amendment to the budget.
Thank you, Rachel.
Mayor? Sure. All very educating. I'm not talking about salt, I'm not talking about overtime budget. I put in a request on several sites where a mess was made by our contractors and essentially was told, given the feeling, it's too expensive, we don't want to do it. Am I hearing this right from everybody? I will talk to Jim when I get done, and by tomorrow morning, this bus stop will be cleared. The cost is not a problem here. We'll get a contractor out tonight, because these children, 3, 5, 10 years old, shouldn't have to walk and stand in the street. So I guess my question is answered. We'll get it cleared tonight, right? Okay.
Mayor, I have a question.
Sure.
That is not normally the level of service that we provide in subdivisions. We don't have these bus stops marked. There are a number of people that aren't clearing the sidewalks, and the kids end up walking in the street anyways to get to the bus stop, because that's the one thing that is cleared the whole way from their house to the bus stop. We tell people and ask them to clear their sidewalks, but it doesn't always happen. This this is an exceptional year in terms of the amount of snow that's piled up, and usually doesn't become a problem. But it's not something normally that our staff in Public Works provides as a level of service. So the contractor isn't doing it right now. We haven't done it, even if our staff is doing it, or, not doing it. When they plow the snow, they don't clear an area for bus stops. They don't even know where they are. So the question is, what level of service does the city want to provide the residents, which would, in this year and future years, cost more money? Because it's going up a notch in terms of what the expectations are of the staff and the service level that we would provide the residents.
Jim, I'm not asking the city to shovel the sidewalks. The city dumped 10 feet worth of snow, 30 feet long. Not the city workers, the city contractors.
Yes.
We don't normally do that, do we? Do we put debris on the sidewalk and then tell the residents deal with the debris?
We do.
No, we don't.
Every time the snowplow goes by.
No, we don't, Jim.
it fills up
I've
the
lived here. I've
sidewalk.
lived here for a long time. We don't block. I'm going to show you the picture at the end of the meeting. No, we don't. We don't put a damn mountain up across the entire
you're right.
sidewalk for 30, 35 feet.
You're right. It's
So we
an
need to get it out.
exceptional amount of snow that we've had this year.
It was a huge mistake. It needs to be rectified tonight so the kids can get to the bus stop. Number two, how do we know where bus stops are? It's called intergovernmental communication. You can go on the website and find out where the bus stops are. You and I talked about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You can go on the website. The contractor is getting paid a pretty penny. You can go find out where the bus stops are for the zones that are being called in for the cul-de-sacs they're doing. If they don't want to do that, we'll move on to the next private bidder.
But my question is, when we don't have a contractor out there doing it, and our employees are clearing the area, they don't clear it that much either.
No,
What we're
Jim,
asking
you
the
missed what I
contractor
said.
to do.
A number of the residents, when I met with them today, said when the blue trucks come out, they push it about 50 or 60 feet that way. They know not to put it there.
Okay.
Our guys don't do that. The subcontractor did. They decimated the bus stop for the kids. And there's several other areas that happen. So I don't know why we're soft selling this. It's a huge mistake. It's an inconvenience, a danger to the residents. They don't like it. It's their city. Get it cleared. That's simple. We made the mess. We're responsible for our contractors. If we had more people on staff, our good drivers wouldn't have done that. But we don't. We're not hiring more. We're spending $4 million over the last 2 years on Evergreen Terrace lawyer fees. 2 years, $4 million. There's our extra snowplow drivers. I'm getting a lot of resistance there, and I tried to nicely bring something forward. I have a lot of residents who said, my kids are in danger. That's not normal. You blocked it. You threw 20 tons of snow out there. Get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Isn't that simple?
Certainly, I'm not trying to resist it.
You know what, but going back to private contractors, Larry, I think the last 30 years I know, we've always had private contractors, no matter what our city staff was, and that was predominantly to clear cul-de-sacs. So I think they're still gonna be out there clearing cul-de-sacs and,
Listen, Mike. I can't put it up on the screen, guys. That's acceptable?
I know what you're saying.
No, you don't. That's acceptable? That's 35, 40 feet. This high.
Okay, and where's the bus stop?
Pushed on, right there. Right in the middle of that.
Okay,
No, it's not acceptable.
okay.
We do.
I didn't say it was.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, when our people plow snow, I mean, you go down Jefferson Street and they're going fast enough, and it is going on the sidewalks. The question is, I know what you're talking about. I don't need to see that. I know what you're talking about, okay? But they do plow snow, and it does go on the sidewalks, okay? Now, the private contractors put this big pile of snow there. Should we have them remove it? I don't know. Then what's next? We're going to have to start shoveling sidewalks, plowing sidewalks? I don't know.
Mayor, a couple.
Sure.
The first thing is, I also got a phone call from a resident regarding this bus stop. I don't see what the big deal is. We've only been, to my knowledge, identified of one bus stop that's an issue. Let's clean it. We know it's an issue. We know it's a liability with the children. Let's move on. Let's get it fixed. Second issue is last evening, there was comments made from the council regarding ticketing cars, and maybe Chief Benton could talk on this. But I received a phone call and then also was stopped when we were exiting the chambers last evening about the St. Pat's area. St. Pat's is an area with a lot of on-street parking, a lot of rental units with more than one car that cannot necessarily park in a driveway, that have to have on-street parking. And the fear is that we are now going to go and ticket these folks. What's the city's compromise to get these cars out of there, some leeway for them to find another spot? I think they're gonna contact the church to see if there's a possibility to park some cars in the church and shuttle people back home. Could you kind of give us what you're doing for necessarily the St. Pat's area?
Well, the ordinance doesn't designate certain areas that aren't enforceable. So what we've done is we've asked our officers to use their discretion. There is, particularly in St. Pat's, there's a lot of multi-unit dwellings that don't have enough parking to accommodate the vehicles. So it's left to the discretion of the officers, but I did put it out to them, particularly in these areas where there isn't ample parking, to try to use their discretion, not ticket residents that live in those areas. We've had some complaints over areas. I know Bellarmine has been a particular issue in spotted areas throughout the city where we have congregated housing, where there's been some concerns over the ticketing. So again, I've gone back to our staff and asked them to use their discretion, and we've discussed it in staff meetings about looking at alternate proposals, maybe a permit system or some other type of recourse.
Thank you for clarifying that.
As far as St. Pat's, we went through the same thing last year with St. Pat's area. And we contacted the pastor, the priest at St. Pat's, and his comment was, we need our parking lot overlaid. It's in bad shape. Maybe if the city overlays our parking lot, we'll allow them to park. Okay. That's what he said, and we didn't go any farther with it. Okay.
Just again, the original comment was last evening, I think it was from the dais, ticket everybody. And I think there's, when we say that, we send mixed messages and signals to folks out there. So I think, Chief, you explained it. I hope folks watching.
And I will say that
especially
we've been getting an equal number of complaints from residents where there's ample parking, saying we're not doing enough for enforcement. So we've been very aggressive in ticketing those in order to let the public know the plows need to get through there. They need to, if they have off-street parking, if they have driveways, garages, they should use that so that we can get the street crews through there and clear that path.
Agreed. Thank you.
Where are we at? Comments? Any other new business? None? Comments? John, start with you.
Sure. Well, I recognize, as you can tell by the discussion up here, that it is a very stressful time, not only for our staff, our guys behind the snow plows, Jim Trisna and Mike Hewlitz, and even the police department and our fire department. It's a lot of stress put on our city employees as a relate because of the abnormal snowstorm that we're having, and also the frustration that our residents have as well, because it's people have to get to work, they have to get out of their subdivisions, and I just want to thank our residents for their patience, and also our city staff. We don't have quite the crew that we had 4 or 5 years ago, but certainly our staff is doing an excellent job on providing city services, and I just want to thank everybody involved. Also, just something to consider. Pitchers and catchers report in 11 days. So there is light at the end of the rainbow. So anyway, thank you, Mayor.
Larry?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever driven off-road. Sometimes you hit a rut and it goes in the opposite direction of what you intended. That's kind of where the conversation went. Thank you, the one I brought up. Let me be clear. Our staff does a fantastic job, fantastic. Let me be clearer. Mayor, it's not the slop that comes off the side. This was purposefully put there to the height of 8 to 10 feet. Okay? I want to make it clear, and this to make it clear to you too, Jim, that this is not, everybody keeps saying normally, abnormally. This was a big mistake. We need to rectify it. Now, I'll leave it to you guys to run the day-to-day business and decide whether we're going to do it with our own equipment or whether we're going to tell the contractor, go fix your mistake or you don't get paid. You got the options. I'm not going to tell you which one to use. But you're going to see more of this, and the only other comment I would make is, again, the staff is doing great. The staff is doing great. I can't believe how much they drive out there. It was just so telling when all the residents standing in that cul-de-sac told me, no, when the blue trucks come, this doesn't happen. There's your compliment. But when the white truck comes, it does. And I also need, if he needs extra resources, I think it's similar to Councilman I'm sorry, I forgot your, no, I'm kidding. Girl, we are nothing but cul-de-sacs, am I right?
We have quite a bit of-
Cul-de-sacs everywhere. And it's taking quite a bit in this abnormal, unusual winter. So whatever you have to break loose in budget, if that's what's constraining them, we need to get them out there earlier. Because it's not the blue trucks doing the cul-de-sacs, it's the white trucks. There's not enough of them. So we need to address that. I'm up here to speak for my people, and John's up here to speak for his people, and we're telling our peeps we'll get it done. So we need to get more trucks, white trucks, more contractors out there for Jim's department to utilize, because we don't have enough of our own staff to do that, to do the cul-de-sacs. The rest of the streets are going great. Good job, guys.
Jim?
I'd like to congratulate Billy Leemacher in receiving the Illinois Governor's Conference on Tourism Lincoln Award. It's an honor for Joliet and for all the work and dedication she's done to the Bicentennial Park area. So congratulations, Billy. That's all I have.
Bob?
Yeah, thank you. I just would like to echo all the compliments to the city staff. Mr. Hawk, last night you mentioned fleet services, and I think they're overlooked. The people that are keeping all the trucks rolling, putting all the miles on that they are. And also, I was at a staff meeting yesterday, and I didn't realize this, but compliments to Jim Egan in the water department. There have been over 60 water main breaks this year, and it's unavoidable with the way the weather's gone up and down. So great job, and I think it's been as painless as possible, the number of breaks you've had in the last 30 days or so. So my compliments. And I guess, finally, I officially, I want to blame this winter on Mr. Hawk. I think you brought your Michigan winters to Joliet. So maybe we can work on that for next year.
Jan?
I have three things, actually. First of all, a little business. The water bill I received, we're supposed to put information on the water bill, but in this time it was about the snowfall. If there's more than 2 inches, you have to move your car. I was wondering, the bill is about this long. I meant to bring it tonight, but I forgot. The print is so small, it gets lost with everything else. So if you're really not looking for information, you're not reading it. So could we do like a red star or outline it in a red box so that people would know that's something they need to look at on the bill? Because it kind of got lost with everything. But the information was in there about the snowfall, so that was a good thing. Number two, a couple weeks ago, I attended a retirement party for the Rialto longtime projectionist. Mayor Girani was there as well. His name is Sam Alfio. And he'd been a projectionist in town for over 60 years, a member of Local 374, and then in 1980 he joined the local stagehands 124 at the Rialto. And if anyone had gone to see a movie at the Rialto, it was Sam that was putting together the old projectioner, trying to get it to work, because sometimes the Rialto didn't have the money to get the thing going, but the movies always went on. So I'd like to congratulate Sam on his retirement and thank him for all the years of hard work he did at the Rialto. And last but not least, our Katie is turning 21, and I know she's watching from Western Illinois, or not later, she'll catch it on the stream. And I'd like to wish her a happy 21st birthday and to make good choices this week. Thank you.
Your Honor, I too would just like to congratulate Billy Leemacher. She's done a great job over at the park. I'm privileged to be their liaison with the city council over there, so I've had a lot of conversations with Billy and Rich Liebeck and their staff. The park has enjoyed some great times and some trying times, and hopefully now we're past that, and better times will prevail. But at 92 years old, Billy doesn't miss a day over there. Snow, rain, everything, she's there. And she just lives for that park, and if it wasn't for her, the park would not be the asset to the city it is. So
I would echo them comments, Mike. She deserves it. She works hard over there. And lastly, I'm sure members of the council have noticed our information desk, the ladies there had it decorated real nice for Christmas, and now they've got it decorated for Valentine's Day. They do a nice job. The other night, last night when we were leaving here, they were still here. It was after hours, and they were doing it on their own time. I just like to compliment them on the great job they do out there. Jeff.
Mr. Mayor, if I could take a minute to follow up on an executive session subject that was discussed last evening. You may recall that from yesterday's meeting that I've been asked to meet with members of the Civil Division of the State's Attorney's Office to discuss the Evergreen Terrace case and Part of that discussion would involve the discussion of closed session information and other materials that may fall within my attorney-client relationship with the city and with the city council. And I believe I should be, if it is the council's intention for me to meet with the state's attorney's office, I believe I need to be authorized by the council formally to meet with them, just as a matter of professional responsibility. And I gave a more lengthy explanation last night, but I'd ask that the council grant that authority tonight.
Do you need a motion there?
I'd ask for a motion and
Can
voice vote.
we do that because it wasn't on the agenda?
Yes, it's not, directing your client to meet with anybody can be done at any time.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Comments?
Jeff, we also discussed releasing the copy of the document that's in question.
You know,
Can we add that also?
the settlement agreement's been released. I would appreciate the opportunity to meet with the state's attorney's office first, and then take that subject up, and then proceed accordingly, if that would be okay.
But
'Cause-
if the settlement's completed with the Department of Justice, shouldn't the document be public?
I believe ultimately that would be the state's attorney's recommendation. I just feel it's a matter of protocol, since I was asked by the state's attorney to provide that information, which is attorney-client privilege material, prepared by myself. I would like to honor the state's attorney's request if the council would allow me to do that. Then after that's done, if the council wants it released, fine. I just think that the state's attorney should be the first party that I share the information with, since that request is still pending.
Mayor, just to clarify, Jeff, for the folks that are home that may have just tuned in, not knowing what we're talking about, this is part of the investigation about the leak at the council, correct?
Well, the state's attorney's review.
Review, okay.
Yeah, I think I'd call it a review.
Per our request?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
And it's civil, correct, not criminal?
Well, it's a state's attorney review. I'm meeting, I believe, I was contacted by members of the civil division. So that's who I intend to meet with next.
So that would indicate that there were no criminal, even if something happened, which we still don't know, but it was brought public out several meetings ago. So you're meeting with the civil division, not the criminal division, and there's definitely a division between the two. They have certain cases that they follow up on, for certain cases they prosecute, certain cases that they litigate.
I was invited to meet with the chief of the civil division. I do not know if that signifies anything, other than I'm meeting with the chief of the civil division. And so that's all I can really say at this time. I will certainly make a complete report to the city council after that meeting. I do not know if there will be requests for other meetings with other city officials. At this point, I'm meeting with the civil division, though, that's correct, not with anyone in the criminal division.
Seems like somebody cried wolf.
But we do know that there was a document leaked from closed session.
Do we?
That's what Jeff was told by the opposing attorneys.
I thought it was third party, I thought.
Well,
I thought he told us that, okay.
you know,
I think this,
there's a review by the state's attorney, and all that information will be provided. The review will be centered on the release of a document that I prepared and distributed to the city council in closed session, and whether or not that document was released without authority to third parties.
Well, I certainly would like to get to the bottom of it, so I would recommend cooperating all the way. As we sit here right now, has anyone ever seen this document? Do we know? Has anyone confirmed that this actually happened? And I hope, if not, I hope the state's attorney can give us a yes or no, so we do know going forward.
Well, Councilman,
We all saw the
I
document.
prepared the document.
I'm sorry, the document that is in the hands of the Gidwitz attorneys is what I'm asking.
Oh, we have asked that that the attorneys for the Gidwitz family, Ungaretti and Harris, a Chicago law firm, that they provide that back to us. So far, they have declined to do that. Okay. I was informed by their senior trial counsel that it was a document I prepared. That's what I was told. They refused to produce it directly to me. I can only report what I was told.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, and that's why I like to see this document that's in question.
Oh, you want the document that was,
That's in question, that we
Yeah.
allegedly received, that they have. Why can't, I mean, it was compiled on government time. The case is settled. I mean, to me, it should be a public document.
Councilman, there's absolutely no problem with me providing you a copy of that. I've
I'm a
done that.
proxy
I
of
did
the
that
public.
once before, okay? It was released to the members of the council. That's not the issue. I interpreted your question as a public disclosure of that document. And frankly, I would prefer to meet with the state's attorney first. And then if the intention or wishes of the council to make a further public disclosure, so be it. The settlement document itself, not the document I prepared, but the settlement order is a matter of public record. It was entered in district court back in November.
I have a question, Jim. Are you asking for the document that they supposedly received, or the document, a copy of the document that was passed out to us in executive session?
The alleged document that was given to this third party or whoever it is, I'd like to see a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
Well, Your Honor,
Sure.
and Jeff, I don't know, I don't want to jeopardize what you're doing, but, and so if you can't answer this, don't answer it, but when you asked the Gidwitz attorneys to turn over that document, and they either refused, or did they say they didn't have a document, but they refused to turn it over, is the way I understood you.
They were directed by their client to not produce it to the city. I believe they have an independent duty to do so, whether or not the client authorizes it. And we're in process in appropriate ways. You need to remember that that law firm no longer represents the Gidwitzes, since they weren't paid and they withdrew from the case.
Pretty difficult for Jeff to give that document to us when he can't even get it from them. That's what I'm saying.
All I can give to the council today is copies that I retained on my computer of what I gave you before. That's all. My point is, and maybe it's an unnecessary concern, but I think as a matter of protocol, I would like to make a production to the state's attorney, who's already asked for it. And then if there's going to be a decision about a public disclosure, that's next in line. I don't think it's inappropriate what you're saying, Councilman. I just think there's a sequence of events that protocol suggests we ought to follow, in my opinion.
And I agree with Bob, you know, the sooner we get to the bottom of this, the better, because it gives everybody up here a bad luck.
Mayor?
Yes.
I would agree right on down the line. Certainly, Jeff, you got my support. You give the state's attorney everything they want.
Okay.
We'll get to the bottom of it, whether something did or didn't happen. And because a choice was made to broad brush everyone up here to be a possible, and the exact words were civil or criminal. Okay, now it looks like it's just civil. I also want to get it out there ahead of time that as soon as we're done with this, as soon as we're done with the case, however we vote on the condemnation when it comes up, this thing has become a mess in so many ways. There's rumors, there's innuendo. I will be moving to release not only the minutes, but the tapes going all the way back to 2004. The public has a right to know exactly what has happened once we're done with this.
Why don't we do that tonight? Release the
Yeah,
tapes
we
of the
had-
executive session.
All the way back to 2004.
I don't have any
Can we do
problem.
that, Jeff? Are we done with it?
Except for personnel litigation and stuff like that.
No, I'm talking about the ET tapes, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
The Evergreen Terrace tapes.
The city council has the authority to release its minutes anytime it would like. And the only thing I would ask, remember, we still have a lawsuit pending.
Right. We're waiting for the
So,
Gidwitz attorneys.
I would prefer not to impair the outcome of that case in any way. And there were a lot of discussions in closed session regarding trial strategy, purchase offers on the property, other things that have nothing to do with the current situation as far as this document. And perhaps, the council may want to consider, if it thinks it's important in the interest of public disclosure, to release the more recent proceedings. That's not my recommendation. I still think there's a case pending. I think we can handle it in different ways. But I would certainly ask the council to be very careful, since it is in litigation, when it releases confidential attorney-client communications.
No, I understand, Jeff. I'm saying once the case is finished, and certainly we're in a holding pattern because of the recent ruling for ownership's attorneys to be released, and now they got to find new attorneys. Once we're done with this case, and we're very close, right? We're as close as we've been. No, I would ask that you have your staff prepare a complete exhaustive list of all executive sessions, all minutes and tapes going back to the inception of this case in 2004. And when we're done with this case, it all goes public. It's just too hot of a topic for the public to be kept in the dark, and transparency is the key here. It is too early. But once this case is done, once you tell us as our attorney, it's over, right? That all needs to be released. So we need to compile that list, going all the way back to the beginning.
I have no problem with that. My only issue is we're still in the middle of a case that I would like to see us win. And so whatever we release, I want to make sure it doesn't affect the successful outcome of the case. There's nothing that is in any of those statements or minutes that deal with integrity or the appropriate way in which the city has dealt with Evergreen Terrace. What is in there, though, would be pretty candid discussions and trial strategies between the council over the years, its city managers over the years, and its lawyers over the years about how to best prevail in a very challenging piece of litigation. And so it's that part of it that I don't believe is in the public interest yet to divulge while the case is pending. It just doesn't make sense for us to say something, for example, about the value of the property before a jury is about to decide that question. Doesn't make any sense to do that.
Jeff, it would appear to me I'm having a really poor night communicating. I just can't get my
It's
point
that
across.
rut again, Larry.
Did I just not say?
So
Did I just
agree to
not?
agree. How
Didn't
about
I just
that?
not say let's release it once you tell us the case is over?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Or whenever the council, again, it's not a corporation council prerogative or decision. It does rest with the full council, but did we get a vote on my authorization?
Can I ask one more question, Mayor? The two cases that have been settled, one with the Department of Justice and the one with the tenants, can those files be released since they've been settled? I mean, we've publicly voted on both those settlements. I think, what's the big deal of releasing those?
Well, there are no separate files. There is one court case. There were multiple parties. We've partially settled the case in that we've settled with the federal government, and we've settled with a small group of tenants. The minutes deal with the case. They don't deal with the individual parties necessarily, although sometimes there were discussions about value of the property or how we ought to proceed in acquiring the site or what we ought to do at trial, that sort of thing. I can't think of any document that was dealt solely with a single party, really. I know what you want to do. You want to give up everything possible, or release, I should say is a better word, release everything possible so long as it doesn't hurt the case. And we could do that. I could look at the minutes and, like I say, a lot of the things that are more sensitive were discussed a long time ago because they dealt more with the purchase process, for example.
Connor? One thing, and Jeff, isn't that something you do on a regular basis? Like twice a year, we release closed session minutes.
Yes.
The ones that you say we can. And those that can't be, but you recommend that we do that, I think it's twice a year, right? In
It's
conjunction
twice a
with the city clerk, and you go through them, so.
I think we did it January or December, just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Krista?
This motion and seconded to approve Corporation Counsel Jeff Plyman to meet with the state's attorney's office concerning the Evergreen Terrace review. Councilwoman Quillman,
Absolutely aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The motion seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.